Grant Cardone wrote a book called The 10X Rule, and this is such an amazing book. Please go get that book, The 10X Rule. In this video, I'm going to share with you the two most powerful ideas from this book. So the first big idea is that most people's vision for themselves is very small. They don't have a very big aspiration for themselves. Most people have 1x goals, or they've got very average goals. Most people, they don't have a very big view of their future self. And there's actually a lot of research in psychology that shows that most people's view of their future self is basically at the same level as their current self. That's a fixed mindset. Most people don't have a big view of their future. What Grant Cardone recommends is you take whatever vision you have for your goals and you literally make them 10 times bigger. And that really resonates with a lot of the research in psychology, specifically positive psychology. What the research in positive psychology shows is a concept called prospection. The idea of prospection is that whatever view you have of your future, that's the thing driving your behavior, your mindset, and your identity in the present. Dan Sullivan said, the only way to make your present better is by making your future bigger. And so if you have a bigger vision of your future self, then you're going to take bigger action in the present. You're going to have more motivation in the present. There's actually a lot of research on this in psychology called high hard goals. Stephen Kotler breaks this down in the book, The Art of Impossible. But high hard goals are much more motivating than low goals. Also, Tim Ferriss talks about this a lot in the 4-Hour Work Week, that most people are competing for mediocre goals. Most people are competing for the middle class. Most people are competing for average. They're competing for the 9-to-5 jobs. The most intensity and the most competition, and if you even think about this, it's true from evolutionary perspective, is for average. Most people are competing for average. That's where the rat race is. Most people are competing for the main jobs and for just making it through and for being able to pay the rent. And so whatever view you have of your future self, that's the thing driving your behavior at the present. And again, back to Tim Ferriss, he said, the competition is the lowest towards the biggest goals, towards the most exciting goals. And Grant Cardone expresses that same thought, that you want to escape the rat race of mediocrity, of average, and of all that competition, and you want to set 10 times bigger targets. So not only is your view of your future the thing that drives your behavior, but the specificity of that future. So whatever goals you have for yourself, make them 10 times bigger. And the key attributes of good goals is that they must be measurable and achievable. And measurable means that it's actually a number that you hit. So that could be like $1 million or $10 million, or it's an actual experienced. So that could be that you actually started that business, or that you actually married that lover. Like, it has to be an event or a number hit. Those are the key aspects of measurable and specific goals. So take whatever goals you have, make them 10 times bigger, make sure that they're measurable, because the more specific and measurable your goal, the more you can actually creating a path to getting there. But also have no more than 3 targets. In his book, Good to Great, Jim Collins said, if you have more than 3 priorities, you have none. But also you want your goals no more than 3 years out. That goes to the 3-Hag Way. And 3-Hag Way is a great book that stands for, 3-year out, hard, achievable goal. So you want 3 targets. You want them to be 10 times bigger. You want them to be no more than 3 years out to achieve those targets. And then basically your vision towards your future self drives your behavior in the present. So that's the first big idea, set 10 times targets. Most people, they have a very low vision of their future self. Now, the second big idea in Grant Cardone's book, The 10X Rule, is that most people radically underestimate how much action or how much effort is involved in achieving their goals. Most people, they're idealistic about what's involved. They're like, okay, if I want to achieve this goal, it's a 1x goal for most people, then I'm going to go ahead and just take this much action. But the truth is it always takes way more action. It takes way more effort, way more time than you expect it will. So rather than being idealistic and setting yourself up for failure, what Grant Cardone says is you should actually set 10 times the required action. You should expect and set 10 times the required action as you expect will be required to achieve your goal. So I actually recently applied this, and it led to massive results. So recently I just wrote a book, and I had to get 10 endorsements for that book. I only had about a week and a half to get those 10 endorsements, which was a short amount of time. If I was operating at 1x, I would say, okay, my goal is to get 10 endorsements, and 1x action means I'm going to just reach out to 10 people, and I'm going to expect that all 10 of them are going to give me an endorsement. That's obviously not realistic. But again, that's most people assume the best case scenario. Rather than assuming the best case scenario, I decided to set a 10x action target. And 10x action is the second big idea, that you want to take 10x action, and you want to take 10x the quality and quantity of action that you expect will be required. And so rather than just reaching out to 10 people, I actually reached out to over 150. And here's what's amazing at what happened. After reaching out to 150, I ended up getting about 30 to 40 endorsements. But when you're taking 10x action, Action is the thing that leads to increased motivation. Action is the thing that leads to increased confidence. And action is the thing that leads to inspiration. Because I was taking so much action, I was reaching out to literally over 150 people. And I started to get some big success back. And once you start getting small wins, you start building your confidence. Confidence actually is the byproduct of getting small wins and celebrating those wins. And so because I was taking so much action, because I was already starting to get wins, I started to get more bold. As you're taking a lot of action, you become a lot more willing to be courageous. And so I started reaching out to people who I figured would never answer to me. I started taking bigger leaps towards my future self. I started to take more bold power moves and asking people that would probably say no or would ignore my stuff. And most of them did ignore my stuff, but I did actually get some serious blurbs from people I would have never expected. And I would have not taken that action if I wasn't in a 10x action state. Also, when you're in a 10x action state, unexpected byproducts happen. What happened was, and there's a lot of unexpected byproducts. When you're taking action, that's where luck, miracles, all that stuff takes place. And you get unintended results that you weren't planning for or expecting. So let me give an example. While I was taking 10x action and asking literally over 150 people to endorse my book, I asked one of my heroes, BJ Fogg. He's a Stanford psychologist. He wrote the book Tiny Habits. He's one of the leading experts and authorities on habit development. I asked him if he would blurb my book, and he said he would read it. And then a few days later, he read it, and he said, Ben, this book is so good, I actually want to make it required reading for my Stanford classes. And that was an unintended side effect that would not have happened if I wasn't taking 10x action. So the big two ideas from the 10x rule is one, you want to take your vision for your future self and make it 10 times bigger, because your view of your future is the thing that drives your present, and most people are competing for average. And there's low competition for 10x goals, and so you want 10x targets that are highly specific, highly measurable, no more than 3 targets, which are no more than 3 years out, which then as you strive for those, you're going to make a big leap. But then the second aspect is that you want to take 10 times more action than you think will be required. And as you take 10x actions, you're going to increase your confidence, your courage, and you're going to create unintended side effects, unintended successes that you were not expecting. I promise you that if you do these things, your life is going to increase. If you set bigger targets for yourself, that's what having a growth mindset's all about, having a bigger version of your future self, having 10x specific targets. And then if you take 10x action on a daily basis, 10x quantity, 10x quality, 10x courage, actions, yeah, you'll fail a lot. Yeah, you'll miss a lot, but who cares? It's not about how many shots you miss, it's how many shots you make. And if you're taking 10x actions, you're going to make a lot more shots than you would have if you weren't taking those actions. Wayne Gretzky said you're going to miss every shot that you don't take. And so don't be so worried about how many shots you miss. Who cares if you miss 100 shots if you make 30? If you make 30 shots, that's way more than you would have made if you only shot 10 times. And so go for the amount of shots made. Don't worry about how many shots you miss. Michael Jordan actually said that he failed over and over and over again, and that's why he succeeded. Michael Jordan had more game-winning shots than anyone else in the world, but he also had more game-missing shots. He missed the game-winning shot more than anyone else. And so if you want to get really good, you can't worry about missing. Actually, you got to get really acquainted with failure and become very comfortable with failure. Who cares how many shots you miss? It's about taking so many shots that you start making way more than anyone else. And so that's the power of the 10x rule. It stops you from being average. It stops you from playing average. And as you start taking 10x actions towards your future self, you start building your confidence, but also you start building the willingness to take even more courageous actions. And as you're taking all sorts of actions, you're going to get unexpected successes. So those are the two big ideas. 10x your vision for your future self and 10x the action you think is required. And as you're taking that 10x action, you're going to create amazing success. You're going to create amazing confidence. I can assure you that that's true. My name is Dr. Benjamin Hardy. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. The more you thumbs it up, the more that you can help other people find this content so that they can become their desired future selves. Also, please subscribe to the channel, and down below, you can get access to my full 30-day Future Self course. It's completely free. It's a full deep dive course. It's completely science-based. In over 30 days, it will transform your entire life. Have an amazing day.